Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is April 30th, 2025. It's a Wednesday. And as always, I'm asking the magical... I'm not asking a question, I'm making a statement to the mainstream media. Guess what? You won't be trusted anymore. Yeah, you won't be trusted anymore. Anyway, hello everybody. This is Dave vonKleist, and these are the WTF reports. And I don't even know where to get started. I really don't. There's so much going on. I'm flabbergasted. I've got a shotgun blast of different topics to throw at you today, and hopefully it'll prompt a little bit of thought out there. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am well documented, and I am on the record for many, many years, several decades, in fact, of having no love whatsoever for either party. The Republicrats, the Demopublicans, we've heard it before, they're two wings of the same bird. And the sad fact is that, being a centrist, there's a price that you pay for that. I mean, when I became an activist, when I started paying attention and started broadcasting and making my opinion known for what it's worth, during the Clinton administration, while the rest of the mainstream media was focusing on Monica Lewinsky and the cigar, I was focusing on what Clinton was doing with China. As a matter of fact, when I was down in Texas, I was outside the Chinese embassy with a bunch of other protesters, and we were screaming, "It's not Monica, it's Chinagate." And of course, Clinton, of course, at that time, he was accepting campaign contributions on the behalf of China. And in return, he was sending them technological information. And of course, that's treason. But treason is wholesale now. I mean, it's all over the place. And for my efforts, I was labeled as a right-wing extremist. And then Clinton was out and George Bush was in. Okay? And when I was screaming about George Bush, I became a left-wing extremist. And, that was during the period of time with the 9/11 attacks and the PNAC documents and all the other stuff about that. And then after Bush came Obama. And guess what? I became a right-wing extremist again. They just label you and label you and label you. And it's not right versus left. It's right versus wrong. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because, I suppose I'm looking forward to being labeled again. I know that a lot of the Democrats, they just hate me. The liberals hate me, and yet there are some times that I will stand by the liberals because they have a valid argument. And I'll stand against the conservatives too. When they're wrong, they're wrong. So anyway, I wanted to get that on the table because, like I said, I'm a shotgun blast of information today, and I'm here with the audio receipts. So you can't say, "Oh, Dave said this, Dave said that." No, you're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. But before I get started, I want to point out, my own personal life. I have nothing to hide. When I was a younger man, I had, my wife at the time was an artist. And for those of you regular listeners and know my background, I've always been a musician. I play guitar and I sing and I do character voices and narrations and commercials and stuff. I've been doing that for many, many, many years. Got my broadcaster's license back in 1979. Oh my gosh, time flies. But at one point, before I became an activist, I was a struggling musician. My wife was a struggling artist, and we were busy trying to find a second nickel so we'd have two of them to rub together. So I was taking all kinds of jobs to support my stay-at-home wife so she would take care of my 7 or 8-year-old daughter. I forget how old she was at the time. And I took this job. I was taking handyman jobs. I was jobbing out all kinds of different things to keep the food on the table, et cetera, et cetera. Aside from being a musician and playing gigs on the weekend. And anyway, I took this job as a handyman. And I had this job. I was going to size the walls of this big mansion. Oh my gosh, this is a big 3 stories sitting on the side of a mountain. And this is when I lived in Connecticut. And I don't want to get too specific about it, but this mansion could plainly be seen from the valley. And anyway, I got this job to size the walls. Now, sizing means that you apply this liquid onto drywall to prepare the wall for wallpaper. And this guy was going to have a whole bunch of wallpaper shipped in from Italy. This guy had so much money. Oh, my gosh. He was filthy, filthy rich. And so I was there for about a week or two. And I started in the basement, the downstairs, and I was working down there. Now, this guy had a beautiful wife. Oh, my God, she was drop dead gorgeous. And he had 2 little girls, and his wife was pregnant out to here. And anyway, so I was working, and I worked my way up to the first floor and then to the second floor. And when I got to the 3rd floor, that's where his office was. And I was working in the other rooms, and I was making my way through the hallway. And he struck up a conversation with me. And I'm working along, and he says, so what do you do in real life? And I said, well, yeah, I'm a musician. He says, really? Oh, that's cool. How long you been playing? I said, pretty much all my life. He says, what kind of music? I said, oh, gosh, all kinds of music. Whether it be jazz or country or pop music. I even do some fill-ins for big bands. He says, no kidding. He says, wow, man, that's pretty cool. You must get a lot on the side. I said, what? He says, yeah, man, musicians, you get a lot on the side, don't you? I said, well, I'm married, I've got a little girl and stuff like that. And he says to me, so what's that got to do with it? And I was like, well, I just don't feel comfortable, I wouldn't want to do that, I'm monogamous. And he looks at me. He says, you're a fool. I said, what do you say to the guy? I don't want to get into a confrontation with him. And I said, well, yeah, maybe so, but that's just the way I feel about it. And I thought about that, and I finished up the job, and I was packing up my stuff. And I said, thank you very much. I got paid and blah, blah, blah. And I got in the car, and the thought occurred to me. Now, here's a guy, he's got more money than I'll probably ever see in my lifetime. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a beautiful family. He's got, beautiful home, And I started to think, and I said, wait a second. Who's the wealthy guy here? And I'm not bragging or anything like that, but it made me stop and think, where are your values? What's important to you? Obviously to me, I found that it was sad that this guy would think it's okay to cheat on your wife, go play around, get some on the side, as he was saying. And it occurred to me, wait a second, who's the wealthy guy here? And that's a question that I asked, and I will continue to ask the question, because there are those who've corrupted their morals. And for some reason, you can have all the money in the world, but if your morals are corrupted, then you're not wealthy at all. At least that's the way I felt about it. And that sort of stuck with me all these years. And unfortunately, that mentality it seems to have permeated our society. People are more concerned with, with their sexual activity and, their interactions with the opposite sex than they are with, once you've established yourself and you've got yourself into a relationship and you've gotten married and you're raising a family and you're doing what you're supposed to do. And yet this guy was thinking that, hey, look at, hey, you can get some on the side, hey, And that just did not appeal to me. So I just wanted to throw that out there because, unfortunately, it seems that our society it basically applauds that type of behavior. Sex is like primary in a lot of people's minds. That's what sort of governs them. They don't think with their brain; they think with another part of their anatomy. And when I look at the Democratic Party or the liberals out there, I find that, it's kind of interesting that all of their major issues that they're throwing on the table in one way or another are related to sex. Whether it be the abortion issue or, gay pride or, pick a topic that the liberals out there, put on the front burner. And that's just, that does not appeal to me. And I stop and I think about it, and with all this stuff that's going on with transgenderism and all this stuff, that seems to be the primary concern. And there was a guy, I'm trying to remember what his name was, but let me see if I can find it here. Oh, okay. There's a guy that was at a demonstration, and he had he had a what do you call it? A sandwich card. You know, you put it over your shoulder, and it's got a sign in the front and a sign in the back. And his sign said, and I'm reading it right now. It says, "Children cannot consent to puberty blockers." And I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So anyway, I wanted to hear what this guy had to say, and he interviewed. You know, there was a woman that came up to him, and they struck up a conversation, and I want to share that conversation with you. And again, this is sad. This is almost criminal what's happening to to the younger generation here. Anyway, here's let me see if I can get this to play. For some reason, I'm having a hard time. Here it is.
What's your name?
My name's Clementine.
Nice to meet you.
I've actually seen your stuff online, and I'm a huge fan. I was on puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up. So I just want to say you're doing a good thing.
Wow.
I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about. So I salute you.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. You might have had a hard time hearing what she was saying, but now he asks her to come a little bit closer to the microphone. You'll hear better what her story is.
For speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if we have a little conversation about it?
Course, yeah.
Okay, come on in this way just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hi.
So, your name again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So, Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned at?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I had been going off testosterone since about 17 because it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
I was 13.
Wow. And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14. I'm currently going through the process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
Oh my God.
For everyone.
That's sad. That is so sad. That it's tragic. Now, again, this whole trans thing, and I'm not bashing transsexuals. I'm not doing that. That's not the thing. I believe that they are victims. Now, there's so much in our environment, in our food, in the vaccines, that is affecting hormones. I was screaming about this 30 years ago, back in 1995 when I was on WATR AM 1320 in Waterbury. I did a show about bisphenol A, prions, and what's the other one? Atrazine. Now, these are food additives, and the prions are what leach from the plastics, your Tupperware and your plastic things. They leach into the food. Now, all you got to do is do your own research, and I'll say it again, do your own research. Don't believe me just because I say so. Okay, this was 30 years ago. I did this program about these different things that are in our food and our environment, and they are directly affecting the hormonal balance in the body. Now, I asked a question 30 years ago, what's going to happen if we don't get this crap out of our foods? What's going to happen if we don't clean up these plastics? And that's another issue I'm going to talk about shortly. What's going to happen in a generation or two if we don't get this crap out of our foods and out of our environment? Well, glory, Oski, what do you know? Here we are 30 years down the road, and we've got how many genders registered now in California? Was it 63, 65, 67? And we got kids out there that identify as possums. This is nuts. And they're furries out there. They dress up like animals, and they believe they're a cat. I mean, this has been going on for a long, long, long time. And God forbid somebody should raise the alarm bells and start screaming about it, which is what I did. And for my efforts, I was labeled as a homophobe, and you're a hater, and this and that. No, I don't have any problem with that. Some of my best friends, I spent my formative years in Greenwich Village. The Village people back in the 70s. Some of my friends are gay. And I spent my summers up in Provincetown, Massachusetts. That's the East Coast beach capital for the gay community. I had good friends that are gay. I don't care if you're gay. I don't have that problem. Gays have been around since the dawn of man. I don't necessarily condone that, but they don't mind. Hey, look, I'm straight, you're gay, so what? The bottom line here is that our society has not only been chemically induced to move in that direction, but now, God forbid, like I said, if you point this out, you're going to be labeled as a hater. And I see these people as victims. I really do. And they're so quick to want to throw. You just heard the testimony of this girl, Clementine. She was on puberty blockers. She was had surgery, top surgery, had her breasts removed, and doing this transition thing. She was only 11, 12, 13 years old. Where were the parents on this? And why are they so quick to want to throw puberty blockers at them and do the surgeries and then give them testosterone? This girl was on testosterone. What? Wait a minute. Where were her parents? Anyway, that's one of the topics that I wanted to throw out at the table here. And again, I am not a hater. No, I feel sorry for these people. I really do, because their lives are upended. Not only that, but you may have heard that getting her double mastectomy was very easy to do. Oh, and by the way, puberty blockers, shik-shing, big pharma. Surgery, shik-shing, hospitals, doctors. Okay? It's all about the money. And this poor girl is going to be on these drugs for the rest of her life. Okay? And this is irreversible surgery. And that's why I'm saying these people are victims, and I feel sorry for them. Anyway, you can agree or disagree. That's fine. I don't care. But I just wanted to point out that it seems that everything that the liberal Democrats, seem to have on their front burner has something to do with sex and sexuality. And I don't know why they are so, it seems to me that when we go through puberty, yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid and you become a teenager and all of a sudden the hormones kick in, yeah, sexuality is primary on the mind. You can't help that. All of a sudden your brain goes, whoa, you start to notice the opposite sex. But that's called adolescence. And it seems that the adolescent mentality didn't go away with a lot of these people. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because this is a very, very important topic, and it just seems to be guiding our society. And this is, we've got to grow up. We've got to get out of this adolescent mindset. Anyway, let's see. Like I said, I'm going to be a shotgun blast today of information here. I got a bunch of different things. Oh, yeah. Let me switch gears here a little bit. All this talk about the judges. Okay, the two judges that were arrested. And so they're saying, the Democrats are saying, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You have to abide by these judges. Well, it's funny because, when Biden was in office, no, it was exactly the opposite. Matter of fact, AOC was being interviewed by Anderson Cooper, and here's what she had to say about these judges.
That I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. You hear what she just said? The Biden administration should ignore these judges' rulings. Oh, okay. That's under the Biden administration. She continues.
And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices themselves, through the deeply partisan and unfounded nature of these rulings, that are undermining their own enforcement.
So you're saying the Biden administration should ignore this court, but what does that look like? What does that actually mean?
I think the interesting thing when it comes to a ruling is that it relies on enforcement. And it is up to the Biden administration to choose whether or not to enforce such a ruling.
Did you hear what she said? Can you smell the hypocrisy? I mean, it's okay under the Biden administration if he ignores the judge's rulings, but now under the Trump administration, my God, they're losing their cookies because all of these judges now are, how many lawsuits now are against, are being brought against Trump to block what he's trying to do? I don't know. Let me see. Maybe Chuck Schumer can clear that up. How many judges are there now? Come on,
Our
Chuck.
democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways. The good news here is we did put 235 judges, progressive judges not under the control of Trump last year on the bench, and they are ruling against Trump time after time after time. And we hope that the appellate courts, when it gets up there in the Supreme Court, will uphold those rulings. They restored the money to NIH. They required that 8,000 federal employees have to come back. We're in over 100 lawsuits against them.
100.
And we are having a good deal of success. It's only at the lower court level right now.
It's called lawfare, folks. He just said 235 progressive judges installed under Biden. And they got over 100 lawsuits going against Trump because they don't like what he's doing. Sorry, Chuck. As a matter of fact, let me see. There's another here. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Here's a post from the disrespected trucker. And this guy's pointing out exactly what I was just talking about.
These people actually think that you're stupid. Chuck Schumer is now claiming that Donald Trump is trying to intimidate judges. Chuck, care for a quick trip down memory lane?
I want to tell you, Gorsuch. I want to tell you, Kavanaugh. You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Did you forget about that, Chuck? If it wasn't for double standards, these people would have no standards at all. Keep in mind, they supported the arrest and detention of President Trump on purely political grounds. They supported the arrest and detention of countless J6ers who never even had a day in court. They supported putting mothers on terror watch lists for attending school board meetings. They colluded with big tech to censor your speech. All the while, they said no one's above the law until some Democrat judges get arrested for breaking the law. Trump's not threatening judges, he's executing the law, unlike you.
That's right. He's executing the law. And the point is here, I have the Constitution in my hand, and in Article 3, which deals with the judicial branch, it states, and I read in Section 1, not Section 2 or 3 or 5 or 6, Section 1, Article 3 of the United States Constitution reads, "The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in the Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish." Here's the key point. "The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior." And behavior is capitalized. Good behavior. In other words, you work within the law. If you're a good judge and you work within the law, that's good behavior. If you're a judge and you're biased and you're working outside of the law, I suppose, with my limited intellect, that would be deemed as bad behavior. And so we look at the charges that have been brought up against these two judges that were recently arrested. I would have to, in my limited intellect, I would have to say that would represent bad behavior. So, I mean, this is what we're up against here, folks. And it just seems like, on and on, there is a double standard. And I got to tell you, people are waking up. They have had enough of this horse hockey. And there's a guy, let me see if I can play this clip here. Let me see, where is it? Oh, yeah, here it is. This guy is telling it like it is. Basically, and I think that he's reflecting the opinion and the attitude of most Americans. Listen to this.
I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I'm 37 years old. I've been here a long time. I've paid taxes my whole life. I've been paying taxes for years. I've put in a lot of money in this country. A lot of money. They've taken a lot of money from me. And I've always had to pay at the end of the year. I don't ever get money back. Never. I'm always paying. I've never had any type of government assistance. I've never had food stamps. I've never had any help from the government in any way, shape, form, or fashion, ever. Not one time. And yet I've paid tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. And they've never helped me. They've never done anything for me. And yet all the people here that are breaking our laws, that are here illegally, are getting all that money that I paid in that I can't have. That was taken from me, from my hard work, which is taken out of my pocket. They didn't ask me. They just took it from me. And now they're giving it away to people who didn't earn it. How's that right?
How's that right? That's a good question. That is a very good question. And a lot of Americans are asking that question. And well, they should. You know, I mean, these illegal immigrants coming in, they get phones, they get debit cards, they get a place to stay, they get food stamps, they get all this stuff. They get hotel rooms in New York City. They get all this stuff. And, you know, Americans, we're not stupid. Well, some of them are, I have to say. But people are indeed waking up. And, you know, the young ones, God bless a lot of the young ones, they're seeing how much horse hockey is being thrown at them. Here's a young kid. I don't know who he is. And again, these are posts, you know, I gathered these audio clips from the different social media posts. And that's why I play the audio so you hear it directly from the horse's mouth. Okay, now here's a young guy that's kind of figured this stuff out. Listen to what he has to say.
They are terrified of young conservatives, but it's for a good reason. You guys do realize that they've been spending decades controlling our media, our schools, and our culture. But honestly, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. We're the new generation that's waking up and rejecting their lies. We know freedom matters more over feelings. We know that the truth isn't subjective. If I'm being honest, they can probably cancel us, threaten us, or even censor us. But they cannot stop a whole generation from fighting for what's right.
Right.
I'm Fabrizio, and this is Fabrizio's Take, where we stand for truths, not trends. Over here, there's no spins, no fears. Honestly, bro, just the truth. If you're tired of being told to sit down and to stay quiet, why don't you just follow me? Honestly, I think it's our turn to speak up.
Okay, there's a young kid. His name is Fabrizio, and he wants to be a social media influencer. Meanwhile, on the other side of the political spectrum, you've got this is a young woman here that let me see. I don't have her name here, but she made a little video, and she's had it up to here. And again, I see some of these people as victims. Now, this young woman is upset about student loans. And, you know, there are a lot of folks out there that don't want to pay the student loan. And to be honest, I look at the amount of money it costs to have a college education now. Have you checked the cost of textbooks? I mean, some of these textbooks are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You look at the tuition, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You know, I mean, these kids, they don't know how to balance a checkbook. They come out of the public fool system they got from, you know, public indoctrination. They don't know, you know, stuff from Shinola. You know the phrase. They don't know anything, and they get roped into this idea that they got to go to college to get a good job, and they go into debt by the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've been financially raped. Oh, by the way, then there's also the banks that make so much money from these loans. These kids don't know how badly they've been financially raped, and I don't blame them for being upset. And you know what? If they want to, you know, get some relief from the debt, maybe, just maybe, those who financially raped these kids ought to put it back. I don't know. I'm thinking outside the cage. But here's a young woman that's really PO'd about her student debt, and she's calling for a debt strike. Listen to this.
You know what? Okay, I know I'm insane, and I know I'm the internet's favorite crash out. What I'm going to say right now is I'm not paying my debt anymore. What we're doing from this point forward is a debt strike 2025. If I have to do it alone and be insane, I will. I literally will. The fact that we would continue paying our debt, we can't stop paying our rent because that's too crazy. It'll put a lot of people in harm. I'm sick of protesting. It does nothing. I don't want to go to war because look how skinny my arms are. We have to do something. I'm not paying my debt. You can join me on this or you cannot. I'm going to take a picture of, and I'm going to keep records of the debt that I have right now, because when the interest rates go up on that, I'm not paying those either, even when they start to meet our demands. And the demands are as such: abolish ICE.
Uh-oh.
Okay? I want those men home from El Salvador. I don't care.
Ooh.
And we need to protect Medicaid. The Department of Education needs to be restored. I want critical race theory in the classroom, period. We need to literally be delusional. I'm going to be delusional right now.
You are delusional.
I will stand here right now, be delusional, make fun of me all you want. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And if they don't meet our demands, then what we're going to do is then we're going to stop paying our rent. But for right now, stop paying your bills. Stop paying your debt. We're going to start there. And it's like, what the fuck do I have to... my credit score for the house that I'll never buy? I already am not allowed to rent because I don't make enough money. I have to have a cosigner anyway, so what does my credit score even fucking matter?
Well...
What does it matter?
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Now, there's a rant. Unfortunately, this poor girl is so misinformed and ill-informed. And yeah, I mean, I understand why, because the screws are being put to this younger generation. Now, some of them are waking up, and some of them are just stuck in the subterfuge. Anyway, I just wanted to share that little bit of a rant, and I apologize for the bad words that just got out there. But anyway, okay, I'm going to pause for just a moment. By the way, we're coming up on 37 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in, and here's a pause for the cause. Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. Yes, they do. And you can, by the way, if you visit the website GetMoreTank.com, they have all the scientific data there that shows you, the tests and the results of how this affects your engine and your mileage. So, and I'm telling you, I've been using this stuff now for, about 9 or 10 months. And I'm not sorry I did. I started using that. I got an 05 Toyota. And the first application, you put 2 tablets in your tank and you fill the tank. And by the time you get about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through that tank, you'll notice that all of a sudden when you hit the gas, you go. Your car runs better. It runs cleaner. And from that point on, you put 1 tablet in your tank of gas per tank of gas. 1 tablet in your tank per tank of gas, and you will notice that you get an improved mileage performance out of your vehicle. Whether it be a truck or a car, whether it be gas or diesel, you could put it in your riding lawnmower, you put it in your chainsaw, whatever. It's going to run better, it's going to run cleaner, and you're going to get better mileage. As a matter of fact, once you've conditioned your engine for this stuff, it only costs $20. You get 5 tablets. That's 5 tanks of gas. If you're getting 20% better mileage, that means the 5th tank is free. How much does it cost for a tank of gas for your vehicle? Well, it costs $20 for a pack of these things. You're immediately going to see a payback on this. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, visit our sponsors page, get More Tank, and you won't be sorry. Anyway, that said, as a matter of fact, while you're at the sponsors page, you might also want to check out the Wave Watch. This thing is cool, and it uses Rife technology. It's a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. Now, I'm sure a lot of you regular listeners out there, you know about Nikolai Tesla. He said frequency is everything. And Royal Raymond Rife knew this, and that's why he started experimenting with frequencies. And he found that frequencies have a direct effect on cells, on pathogens, viruses, bacteria, etc. Everything has a frequency. And I'm not here to tell you that this Wave Watch is going to treat or cure or anything like that, but I will tell you that frequencies do have a direct effect on the cells in your body, and every different type of cell has a different frequency. So the more you use the Wave Watch, you'll see over a period of time that this thing definitely has some positive effects. So check it out, the Wave Watch. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, visit our sponsors page, and check out the Wave Watch. You won't be sorry. Okay, that said, I got a couple other topics I want to get to. However, you, dear listener, you come first. So if you'd like to belly up to the telephone bar, I'd love to hear from you. Got something that you want to add, some topic that you want to bring up? Love to hear from you. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. That's 215-TOP-TALK. I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out the letters to the numbers. So again, it's 215-867-8255. Okay, that said, there's a podcaster, and he is by the name of Stephen Gardner. He puts out some really good information, and I want to share with you. He's just as furious as I am to find out that the liberals, the Democrats, for whatever reason, I don't understand what's going on with them. I mean, it's just anything that has any connection whatsoever with conservatism, they will trash it. They will knock it down. If the conservatives say murder is bad, then the liberals will say, no, murder's good. I mean, that's how crazy it is. I mean, forget about what's right and wrong. You know, no, to them it's right versus left. So anyway, here's Stephen Gardner pointing out a very, very important issue. Give a listen to this.
Democrats are now being instructed, they are gearing up to sue HHS and RFK Jr. to stop the investigation of autism. Are you freaking kidding me, you piece of crap Democrats? You don't want to get to the bottom of what's causing autism? It's affecting 1 in 30 kids. 1 in 21 in California. And in California, 1 in 12 boys is now autistic. This is disgraceful. As you heard him, 25% of them nonverbal. They bang their heads. They literally are non-functioning human beings. Something has obviously gone wrong. And now Democrats are suing him to stop the investigation. They don't want the answer to autism. Now, I personally believe big pharma, big food, big chemical, they already know what's causing autism. So now they are pressuring Democrat lawmakers to sue RFK Jr. to stop the investigation. Why on earth would you not want to know what's causing autism? Why would Democrats do this? Behind the scenes, they are being told to sue RFK Jr. And I guarantee you that the mainstream media that receives over 70% of their income from Big Pharma is probably saying, gear up, it's time for hit campaigns on RFK. So they don't want the answer to what's causing autism. Now, I want to know from you guys, let me know in 1 or 2 comments, why do you think they don't want the answer? I personally believe it comes down to money.
No kidding.
They care more about money than our kids.
Yep.
They care more about money than our health.
Yep.
And they care more about profits than people.
That's right.
But I definitely want to hear from you guys. To me, it's disgusting. It's despicable. I'm embarrassed. I mean, this is absolutely shameful. Now, I still think this is big news, and I do believe we're going to get an answer to what is causing autism, but I don't believe Big Pharma, Big Food, and Big Chemical want the answer out there, and that's why their goons, these loser Democrats, are preparing to sue him. But RFK Jr., he's doubling down in what I believe is a huge move to block Big Pharma.
Yes, and I believe that Big Pharma should be blocked. And anybody who's done any research will understand why I feel that way. Now, again, you don't believe me, Don't believe Stephen Gardner. Don't believe anybody. Do your own research. Do it. Just do it. Don't believe anybody just because they say so. That's why I'm here with the audio receipts. You can't say, Dave said that, Dave did that. No, I'm letting you hear directly from the horse's mouth. Now, and again, I'll throw the phone number out there. I know the phones are quiet. You're welcome to join me. 215-867-8255. Now, in the meantime, I came across a very, very interesting little presentation here. It seems that many, many doctors, when it comes to talking about the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy, a lot of physicians are never informed about what's in the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. They're not taught about, the side effects. They're not taught about the ingredients. They're not taught about anything. They're taught how to abide by the schedules of the hokey-pokey thingy-dingies. Okay? Here's a whole bunch of doctors basically saying the same thing. Give a listen to this.
Rankin. I'm a family physician.
I'm Dr. Judy Mikovits. My name is Dr. Patricia Ryan.
So I'm Paul Thomas.
I'm a professor of medicine at West Virginia University School of Medicine.
I'm Cornelia Franz.
And you are a pediatric doctor?
I am a pediatric doctor.
And how long have you been practicing as a pediatrician?
A really long time. Over 30 years.
I'm Cami Benton.
Jane Orient. I'm an internist in Tucson, Arizona.
I'm Dr. Ramon Ramos. I'm a pediatrician here in Savannah, Georgia.
I'm an emergency room physician.
My name is James Neuenschwander. I'm a physician in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
My name is Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been researching problems associated with vaccines since September of 2000. I put well over 20,000 hours of my own time into researching these problems with vaccines.
Dr. Bob Zajac. I'm a board-certified pediatrician.
My name is Tatiana Buhanic. My qualifications, first of all, I'm a mom, and I believe that's my most important qualification, and I just happen to have a PhD in immunology in addition to that.
Okay, I'm going to pause that. You're hearing one. I don't know if you can understand. Some of the audio is not that great, but it's one after another, after another, after another, after another pediatrician or immunization doctor. We continue.
We couldn't believe the medical profession as they started to come to the bus.
It took a lot for those people to stand up and talk. I mean, they've seen what happens to doctors and scientists who've taken this issue on and who've been destroyed.
Doctors, nurses, people with the top of the top qualifications in the medical world.
And the story they've been told by their colleagues, by public health, by their pharmaceutical industry sponsored medical education was in fact a grand lie.
So when you first started out to be a doctor, what kind of training did you get on vaccines?
Honestly, I don't remember very much conversation at all.
We were just taught that they help prevent disease.
We were told on our rotations that vaccines were safe and effective. Here's the schedule.
We are not taught what's in those vaccines. We are just taught what the schedule is like.
Safe and effective, and they've saved millions of lives. We learned the schedule. We did not learn what was in them.
It was more philosophically vaccines than the science behind it, I guess, if you will.
As you know, medical doctors don't have a lot of training in vaccines.
If you are one of those people who knows more than doctors, that's fine, no vaccinations, but you're not allowed to go to the doctor anymore. Okay? Why would you even want to go to a doctor who knows less than you do?
It's amazing, but they didn't teach us very much.
Very little. Very little. And what you got basically was told, these are the things that you need to give to your patients.
It was just more about administration of the vaccines rather than the real effects and risks associated with them.
Here's the schedule. These are the saviors of mankind. They're safe, and you need to make sure everybody's vaccinated.
In the field of vaccines, everything is great, everything is safe and effective, everything has been determined. There is no need to go back and look at it again.
Yeah, okay, I got to pause it right there. Remember during the pandemic, all the mainstream publications and networks were saying, don't do your own research. Don't do it. That's like saying, okay, you're going to go buy a car. Well, don't do any research. Trust the car salesman. And that's basically what the pharmaceutical companies have brainwashed these physicians and pediatricians into. Don't do any research. Don't read the insert. No, just abide by the schedule. It's safe and effective. That's all you need to know. Don't do your own research. Yeah, they condemn that. That's a bad thing. But anyway, I think you've heard enough of that. These are all different doctors and physicians and pediatricians basically saying the same thing. We were never taught about the side effects of the vaccines. We were never taught about the ingredients of the vaccines. And we were never taught about the long-term effects of some of those ingredients on the child that's being, having these vaccines administered. Oh, I said the word, sorry, the hokey pokey thingy dingy. Shh, can't say that other word. But that's why we have such a pushback, because the mainstream media does not want you doing any research whatsoever. Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. Now, changing gears once again. Okay, now we go to the election up in Canada. Oh my gosh, what a mess! What a mess! Anyway, here's a little interview of one of the guys that was working at the ballot locations. Here's what he had to say.
I have to say, Chris, I mean, this is really shocking stuff. You can't call an election until all the votes have been counted. And it wasn't just like one box, was it? It was like, I mean, multiple. Are we talking multiple boxes?
So our particular area, we were responsible for, I believe, just over 50. I think it was 52 different voting locations were all scheduled to come drop their ballots off to us to be counted that night. And not one of them had come in yet.
From 52 voting locations, not one box came in.
Yeah. And it had already been declared. Now, they eventually all did come in through, over the next little while. But at that point, when the election had already been called, not one had been received yet.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. 52 boxes of ballots weren't counted and they already called the election. Isn't that interesting? How does that make sense? Well, the answer is it doesn't. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people who are saying, wait a second, why did Trump endorse Mark Carney? Why did he do that? We all know that he's a WEF, World Economic Forum plant. We all know that he's just going to goose step along with the elitists of the world in the New World Order. Well, there may be a method behind his madness. Listen to this.
Donald Trump does more press media interviews than any president in the history of the United States. Pierre Poilievre is not talking to media. He's at his best in those clips where he rips apart dumb journalists. I don't know what's going to come in Canada, but I actually think Donald Trump now, what started off as a lark, I think he just thought Trudeau was weak and Trudeau was taking shots at him after he won the election. And so he said, hey, you're just the governor of a small state. We can do whatever. And then when he saw the overreaction, Trump just doesn't back down from a fight. And I believe that he thinks that having the Liberal Mark Carney win will lead to a quicker destruction of Canada so that it's easier to pick up the pieces. That's why I think he's endorsing Mark Carney, because nothing about Canada right now is merit-based. Nothing about Canada is about doing hard things. Our military is an absolute joke. Our criminal defense system, even though I work in it, isn't dealing with crime. Our cities are completely falling apart. We're spending more money. We probably are wasting proportionately more money than the U.S. We're all paying 50% or more when you add up all of the taxes. Like, why would any entrepreneur come here? Trump is actually instituting policies, if people pay attention, that will make the U.S. 10 times stronger. He's making people proud to be part of something that's specific. It's not saying just come over here and shit on my country. Just like there's been a festival of just shitting on the best countries in the world by people who haven't made anything great in their own countries.
So maybe there's a method to his madness. The people have to be shown. And as a matter of fact, I will share with you a post from Julie Donuts. And I read this post yesterday. It bears repeating. Listen to this. She writes, people often say, why not just jolt the sheep awake? The wake-up process is very serious and delicate. You're dealing with some big, serious lies that will be uncovered. NASA, CIA, Disney, World War II, 9/11, Antarctica, the Vatican, Mockingbird Mossad media, deep underground military bases, central banks, the Fed, the synagogue of Satan, black triangles, the earth, royal bloodlines, frazzle drip, adrenochrome, and much, much more. Now imagine all this being downloaded all at once. People would be in padded rooms or cliff jumping. Yes, even conservatives who don't wear masks fall into this category. This has to be unwound delicately for your own sanity. It's coming out drip by drip. Nothing at this point can stop it. You may not understand the process, but you'll end up respecting and appreciating it greatly. The battle is won already. This is Operation Wake Up. Pay attention to everything, but don't let anything consume you. Everything matters and is connected in some fashion. You can't tell people. You must show them. Decades of brainwashing is slowly being unwound. Now, she's right. You can't tell people. You must show them. And I believe this is why after the 2020 election, and now anybody who's been paying attention and anybody who's been doing any research knows that the 2020 election was indeed fraudulent. It's all coming out. It's all there, whether people want to see it or not. And there's too many people out there. Yeah, they slam their eyes closed, they plug their ears, and they go, la, 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 la. Well, that's not going to change things. The truth is coming out. And, this is why, like I said, when the 2020 election was determined and Biden-Harris was in there, well, yeah, the people had to be shown. And if you didn't see what happened over the past 4 years here in the United States with all the problems that we've got, I mean, the first thing he did when Biden got into office, he shut down the Keystone Pipeline, cut down the energy supply. I mean, one issue after another after an issue. Open up the borders. Let immigrants flood into the country. No vetting, nothing like that. And now we've got a real problem in this country. Well, you see, the thing is, they had to let you see what's going to happen with your own eyes. And now people are seeing it. I just played a clip from one of these young guys and said, hey, look, we've had enough of this stuff. So people had to be shown. And now people are, abandoning this liberal madness that's going on, and they're jumping over and they're becoming MAGA. Now, again, I'm not here to endorse everything that Trump is doing. I have a couple of serious problems with some of his policies. It's always, like I said, it's not 100% left or 100% right. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. But the point is that people had to be shown how screwed up things can get so that they could make an informed decision. How do you get informed? You do your own research. And people have been doing that. And this is why we're in the pickle that we're in right now. People are finding out. And as far as the Canadians are going, well, guess what? Now you're going to have Mark Carney in there, and you're going to find out. The FOFA. You figure that one out. Anyway, that said, oh my gosh, look at the clock. We're almost done here. Whoa, I still had a couple more things I wanted to get to, but flat out of time. Anyway, at this point in time, as we wind down from this particular Wednesday broadcast, I humbly and respectfully ask that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Share it with your friends. Please subscribe and do business with our advertisers. That's how we pay the bills, and that's how we grow. So anyway, that said, we're going to wrap it up for this Wednesday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist, and again, I thank you for your listenership and your participation. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with more of the news they hope and pray you never hear. God bless you all. Stay safe. And above all, stay free. And I will see you tomorrow.
See the things that you've done. We can't wait for you to face the music. Understanding that there's no place to run.